Welcome. Today, we are here to unlock the secret of sounding like a guitar pro in 3 easy steps. I wish I knew these 20 years ago when I was starting to play guitar. See, I started playing bass when I was 12 in the school orchestra, and I didn't really start playing guitar until I was about 17. And at first, I struggled a lot. I just didn't sound like a real guitar player, whatever that means. It sounded a little awkward, a little stiff, and not the way I had sounded when I played bass. And I spent 3 years struggling to sound competent while I was in music school learning guitar. But that is a story for another day. I spent a long time struggling to sound like I knew what I was doing on the instrument. Now, these are 3 concepts that once I learned them, it made my playing sound polished and fluid and professional, and they'll work for you too. But first, why would you listen to me? Well, my name's Jake, and I've been teaching guitar for 17 years from the back of guitar stores, in high schools, and as a college professor. Most recently, I run the online teaching platform, Guitar Gym Pro. So what's the plan today? We've got 3 steps. We're gonna master tone. Now, that's not about gear, the guitar you're playing, the amp you're using, pedals, but it comes from somewhere else, and we'll talk about that. Rhythmic accuracy and how to get there. So being accurate with our rhythms is super important, but how do we do that, and how do we do it in a way that is not insanely boring? And then playing dynamically, and why that's different for guitar than it is for other instruments, say like the trumpet or a singer or even a piano player. And as a bonus, I'm gonna give you a simple yet unexpectedly powerful hack that's going to make you sound better instantly. All right, so let's talk about tone. Our first step is tone, but like I said, it's not about gear. The number one most important thing is relaxed hands, relaxed wrists, and relaxed shoulders, really to have no tension anywhere. That's gonna let us be able to do all of the left hand techniques like slides and hammer-ons and pull-offs that make guitar sound like guitar. We're gonna have clear notes, we're gonna have good vibrato, we're gonna be able to do hammer-ons, pull-offs, fret hand or left hand muting. It's gonna give us a fluid right hand, and that sounds like confidence. So when we're stiff and we're strumming, it doesn't sound confident as when we're relaxed and when we're fluid. So it's all about finding that relaxation. And so what we wanna do is we wanna practice slowly enough that we can play things in a relaxed way and then bring that up. I say all the time, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So we want to get smooth and relaxed. We should go slowly enough that we can breathe and stay relaxed as we're strumming and as we're playing. So let's talk about rhythm. The metronome, we can use it to help our overall time feel. But just putting a metronome on and letting it tick is not super fun. So what we can do is we can start using it instead of on beat 1, 2, 3, and 4, where it's clicking away. We can use it only on beat 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Click, 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 4, right? So it's only on 2 and 4. It's acting like that snare drum in a rock song. Listen to anything Nirvana ever played, and you'll hear that snare drum on 2 and 4. It helps us build that, what we would call a backbeat, emphasizing 2 and 4, which is so common in rock and pop music, into our playing, so we start to develop what we would call a time feel or a pocket, right? So that we feel groovy when we're playing, even without a drummer. We can also try only using it on beat 1. See, as we're checking in with the metronome less and less, instead of it clicking more often, it's only clicking on beat 1. We have to have a good internal sense of time to know where beats 2, 3, and 4 are. So this can be quite difficult at the beginning, but as we get better at it, it really bumps up our internal time feel. And we can also use it in weirder places. So instead of clicking 1, 2, 3, 4, we can have it click on the upbeats. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and, right? So we're playing off of the metronome. And those upbeats are going to be naturally what we would call weaker beats. We don't feel them as strongly, but the metronome's clicking them out, causing them to feel like strong beats. And again, this can be confusing and a little awkward in the beginning. So start slow and practice 1 at a time, right? If you've never done this, try just 2 and 4. Try only beat 1 then try eighth notes. Go really, really slowly with this metronome work. Every little bit is going to be a huge jump in your time feel. Now, these aren't so much hard as they are weird or awkward at first, but learning how to feel, how to play with the metronome in these ways helps internalize the beat the way we've already talked about. Now, let's talk about dynamics with a D, not a B. Dynamics. So it's so easy to neglect dynamics, but it's what gives music life. If we just play everything at the same volume, it's going to sound stale, it's going to sound boring. Now, there's two main ways we can explore dynamics. So we can change our right hand pressure. If we pluck lighter, it's going to be quieter, and if we pluck harder, it's going to get louder. Hard isn't as hard as you think. So when I say harder, I mean I'm talking just a little bit harder goes a long way. It's not like a death grip on the pick and slamming into it. We still want our pick to be brushing over the strings like a paintbrush, whether we're digging in, playing a little harder, or playing nice and soft. Change to a thicker pick if you want more volume. So if you're using a pick that's like thin and will bend, what'll happen is no matter how hard you squeeze, the pick's just gonna bend against the string and you're gonna kind of cap out at the max volume you can have. The thicker the pick, the louder you're gonna be able to get as you tighten up on that pick. So I use a pretty thick pick. I recommend like a Fender Heavy, one of the blue or purple Tortex. About 1 millimeter is where you wanna start for a thicker pick. Now, what you can also do for dynamics is what you play. Now, so in a lot of modern music, we use what's called a compressor, and basically what that's doing is it's evening out the dynamics so things sound good on a recording. So if you have a compressor on, you could strum lighter, but it's gonna sound louder, and you could strum louder, and it's gonna sound softer. It's intentionally making everything sound even, which is great for radio, but not necessarily great for our emotional dynamics in music. So what do? So if we palm mute, is going to sound softer than strumming open. So we can start a song palm muted and move to open strums as we get bigger. And we can use an arpeggiated pattern which will sound softer than a strum. So we can start with the arpeggiated pattern and then move into the strum, right? We're building what we're playing because we're playing more notes at the same time, or letting the notes ring more than when we do the palm mute, right? Creating that bigger sound. So just being aware of that as we're deciding, hey, this is the quieter part of the song, I'm gonna palm mute. I'm gonna do an arpeggiated pattern. I'm gonna not strum a pattern, but just on beat one where the chords change, whatever the case might be. Now here's the bonus. We're gonna talk about silence. So we have so many notes on guitar, right? Like you see them everywhere. And we don't have to breathe when we play, right? We can just kind of keep going forever. But what are we trying to emulate with every instrument? It's the human voice. We want our playing to sing, right? And so remember to take breaths in your solo and even in your strumming patterns, right? You don't just want a wall of eighth notes as you're strumming or as you're soloing. You want to play a little spot where there's that breath before you play again. So I'm going to share an instant vocal phrasing hack with you, which I just love. When you're soloing on any song ever, when it's your turn, you're coming up, you're going to play the solo, and let's say you're soloing over the chorus, what you can do is you can take the rhythm of the vocal melody and just apply different notes to it, right? So if we're doing Crossroads or whatever it is, right? We're playing that little lick. We can think of that rhythm, da 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 da, and we can just play different notes. And then all of a sudden, I've got pretty good phrasing, and I'm not just running eighth notes because I'm using the rhythm that we took from the vocal melody that's in the song that we're playing, so we know it's going to work well. Now, to make this a little bit harder and a little bit more interesting sometimes, you can actually take a melody from another song and apply it to whatever song that you're playing because you know it's a great melody from this other song and it's got good phrasing. And so then you can apply it to this song now. It doesn't work 100% of the time, but it's a really good place to start when you're trying to figure out what rhythm am I going to play in my solos. So if this was helpful for you, if I have more free lessons just like this one, and a community of other guitar players who are just like you, learning, getting better, wanting to play a lot of guitar. And it is the best community online for guitar players, and it is free forever. It is at skool.com/guitar. That's school with a K, SKOOL.com/guitar. And I cannot wait to see you in there.